Hi everybody and welcome to a World of Tanks battle report. In this battle report, 2 tank platoons of 100 points each will try to gain control of an intersection in a small war-torn village. If you are interested in World of Tanks, there is a new starter set just released this October, and it's a relatively affordable way to get a complete war game with everything you need in the box. Tanks, terrain, tokens, dice, everything, and the rules can be found free online, so you can check out the rules as well. And you can always expand your game with other tanks, building larger platoons, but the basic rules, they are exactly the same. I'm not going into rules details here from the beginning, we'll just see what happens. So first, let's meet the 2 tank platoons. First we have a German tank platoon, and their main tank is the Panther. It's a medium tank with good firepower and excellent mobility. And along with the Panther is a Jagdpanzer Hetzer. It's a good all-round tank destroyer, but with assault gun, so it can only fire forward, and it's upgraded with improved suspension and improved gun that will give it +1 initiative in both moving and shooting phases. It's a total of 100 points. The American tank platoon is led by an M4A3E8 EC8 Sherman tank. Not much survivability, but other than that, it's a good medium tank upgraded with a consumable heavy shells and a camouflage net that will give it +1 survivability when stationary. And patrolling with the Sherman is an M24 Chaffee light tank with excellent initiative and mobility, but it's fragile. And it's upgraded with a large repair kit, and then it has a smooth right driver that will be good for calculating the target's defense dice. And they're also worth exactly 100 points. The German tank platoon will approach from the west, the Panther on the main road and the Jagdpanzer in the terrain. And the American tanks will approach from the east, the Sherman on the road and the Chaffee nearby. The platoons will face each other in an encounter battle. Right in the middle of the intersection is an objective token, and a tank controls the objective token if they are within a measuring arrow of it. If a tank controls it, it will earn 1 victory point each round beginning from the second round. First to 3 victory points or to destroy the enemy platoon will win. Let's roll for initiative. The German tanks will roll 2 critical, and they will easily beat the 2 regular hits from the American platoon. So the Germans will have the advantage. Let's begin round number 1. The tank with the lowest initiative will move first. In this case, the Sherman and the Panther have the same initiative, and since the Germans have the advantage, the Sherman will move first. 2 moves. And next up, the Panther, and it will take its first move to get away from the road, and a second move to bring it into cover in the forest. Cover will give the tanks an advantage when they defend shots. The next in the initiative order is the Jagdpanzer, and it will take 1 move and a second move up behind the building. And that leaves the final move action in the move round to the Chaffee with a very high initiative, and it will also be able to move 3 times, and it does not have to, but it can, and it will take cover inside the forest. Tanks can move freely in and out of forests and onto hills as well. And the shooting phase will begin with the tank with the highest initiative, and it's also the Chaffee, so let's just check for line of sight. It will have line of sight to the Panther, but it will be in cover. And the Chaffee has a firepower of 4. So 4 dice, and there will be 2 hits. Now the Panther has to defend. It has a defense of 2, and it will add dice for every movement the Panther and the Chaffee has made, for a maximum of 6 defense dice. And there are 1 critical but 5 blanks. So that 1 critical will cancel 1 hit, but it will take the other hit. 1 damage to the Panther. The Jagdpanzer is up next, but it does not have any targets to shoot at, so instead the Panther will fire back at the Chaffee. And the Panther has a greater firepower of 5 dice. And there are a lot of hits. 2 critical hits and 3 regular hits. That will be tough for the Chaffee to defend. It has a survivability of 0, but it will gather defense dice from movement and 1 from cover. That gives a total of 6 defense dice, but only 1 good roll. And that will take out a critical hit, but the Chaffee will take 3 damage and it will have to draw a critical card. The tank has 4 hit points, so it can potentially be destroyed. No. 0 damage to hit points, but the radio will be damaged, and that will leave it with 0 initiative. But it will have a chance to repair the damage after the shooting round. And the Sherman here will be the last one to shoot, but it will have no targets to shoot at, so we'll proceed to the command phase. And here the Chaffee can attempt to repair the damage. It has a large repair kit, but sadly it does not repair radio damage. So it will have to roll a die and, well, it's good. It's a hit. The damage is repaired. The radio is back. And that concludes the first round, where the tanks moved strategically into cover or behind cover. A few shots were fired and the Chaffee took massive damage. Only 1 more point of damage and it will be destroyed. Let's roll for initiative again. There is 1 hit at least on the American side, 2 hits, and the German platoon will roll only 1 hit, so the advantage will change. Now the American tanks will have the advantage. We'll go to round number 2. So with the advantage on the American side, the Panther will move first in the move phase. And the Panther has an excellent movement of 3. So first it will move 2, and that will take it right into the middle of the ruined city, very close to the objective. But it can move a 3rd time, and that 3rd movement will take it within range of the objective. So right now the German tanks control the objective. The EC8 Sherman is up next, and 1 movement will take it on top of the hill, and from this position it's more than a measuring arrow from the edge of the hill, so it will be in cover if someone fires at it. And only 1 movement this time. Next up, the Jagdpanzer. It moves behind the buildings, 2 moves and cover behind the wall. Not only cover, it will also be hull down, and that means the wall will be destroyed, but also take away a hit if someone fires at the Jagdpanzer. Finally, the Chaffee with the highest initiative will move last in the moving phase. The tank is damaged, and it will take 3 moves, and that will bring the Chaffee almost behind the Jagdpanzer. An aggressive move for a tank that was almost destroyed in round 1, but it will fire first in the shooting phase. The Chaffee has a firepower of 4, and now the Jagdpanzer must defend. It has a survivability of 1, but it will add 4 dice for movement, 2 for its own movement, and 2, not 3, for the Chaffee because of smooth right, but then it will remove 1 defense dice because it takes fire from the flank. And it will move a 2nd defense dice because the Chaffee is firing from point blank range. So let's see what it can hit. 3 regular hits coming in, and only 3 defense dice to try to cancel them. And only 1 blank, so 2 of the hits will be cancelled. 1 damage will be left to the Jagdpanzer. The Jagdpanzer is next in shooting order, but it has an assault gun and can only fire forward, so it will not be able to return fire against the Chaffee. Instead, the Sherman will take a shot from the top of the hill against the Panther. And the Sherman has a firepower of 5. And the Panther will have to defend 2 hits and 1 critical. And then the Sherman can reroll 1 because it's a medium tank, but that will be a blank as well. So 2 hits and a critical it is. And the Panther has a survivability of 2. It has moved 3, and the Sherman has moved 1, so it will be 6 defense dice. And with 1 critical and 2 regular defense rolls, the Panther will cancel all damage. And of course, the Panther will aim and take a shot back at the Sherman. And the Panther also has a firepower of 5, but the Sherman is in cover and it's also hull down. 2 hits, but it's also a medium tank, so 1 reroll, and that gives 2 critical and 1 regular hit. And the regular hit can be removed by the Sherman because it's hull down. So 2 critical hits, and the Sherman will have to deal with them. Survivability and movement and cover will give the Sherman the maximum 6 defense dice. But only 1 good, 5 blanks. The Sherman will be hit with a critical, so it will have to draw a critical card. Crew injured, 2 damage to hit points, and the Sherman has no crew in the tank, or no extra crew cards, otherwise they should have been removed. But the 2 damage will be received. And that was all the activation in the 2nd round, and the German tank platoon will score 1 victory point and take the lead. So let's roll for advantage again. And the advantage will switch back to the German tank platoon in the 3rd round. With advantage on the German side, the tank with the lowest initiative is the Sherman, and it will not move this round. It will stay stationary. The next in line is the Panther. And the Panther will move once, still within range of the objective, but in cover behind the building. Now, we know that the Sherman will stay on the hilltop, so the Panther can take cover and position itself still within line of sight of the Sherman to be able to return fire. A tank is in cover if it's not possible to draw line of sight to 3 out of the 4 corners of the tank. The Jagdpanzer will move now, and it will pass straight over the wall, and the wall will be destroyed, and it will no longer be possible to take cover behind it. And that was the first move. Second move is to get as far away as possible from the Chaffee. The second move will take the Jagdpanzer into cover in the forest, and it will, from this position, have line of sight to the Sherman on the hilltop. The Sherman will potentially take some heavy fire in the shooting phase, but first the Chaffee can move, and the driver will take the tank forward 2 moves, and that will take it to the objective, so the Panther will no longer have the objective under control, but it will also move a third time, still within range of the objective, but it will position itself so it's able to fire in the flank of the Panther. Again, a very aggressive move, and let's see if it pays off. The Germans no longer control the objective, that's for sure, but the Chaffee will still fire. Firepower of 4 dice, and the defense dice for the Panther, 2 in survivability, 2 for the move action, and 1 for its own move action, but some of the defense dice will be removed because of the flank shot. But let's see if the Chaffee is not able to hit anything. It's a disastrous dice roll, and it's not even necessary to roll for the Panther. What a disaster. And now the Jagdpanzer will fire at the Sherman, also 4 attack dice, and the Sherman will gather 1 dice for survivability and 3 for movement. It's not in cover. And the Jagdpanzer will hit. It cannot re-roll any blanks, but it looks like a good defense roll from the Sherman. It will cancel all the hits, so no damage taken. The stationary Sherman is still doing fine on top of the hill, but now it will fire at the Panther, and we know the Panther is in cover. So 5 attack dice versus 4 defense dice. And the Sherman will fire, and it will be able to re-roll 1. It should have re-rolled both blanks, because stationary tanks can re-roll all blanks, but never mind, it will have 4 hits, 2 critical and 2 regular hits, and the Panther will defend with 3 dice, so that leaves 1 critical hit. That forces the Panther to draw a critical card. Let's see what it is. It's 3 damage to hit points and additional damage for special ammo, but that's not the case here, but 3 damage to hit points is a decent hit, and that takes the Panther to 4 out of the 7 hit points. So it could fire back now, but instead the Panther will turn the turret and aim against the Chaffee. It's a shot from point blank range with 5 attack dice. The Chaffee will defend with 4 dice for movement, but it will have to draw 1 defense dice back because of the point blank shot. 2 hits. It should be possible to defend those hits for the Chaffee, we will see. Oh, again, it's all blanks. The shot will penetrate the armor of the Chaffee. The tank will take 5 damage, that's 1 too much, and it's all over for the M24 Chaffee tank. It will blow up and no longer hold the objective. And since this is the end of the 3rd round, the Panther will take 1 more victory point for the objective for a total of 2. It's not looking good for the remaining Sherman tank, but the initiative and advantage will go back to the Americans. Let's go to round 4. If the German tank platoon can score the objective in this round, they will win. So the Panther will stay close to the objective. It will move slightly back to stay as far away as possible from the Sherman, but still score the objective. And the Sherman does not have many options. The only option is to move as close as possible to the Panther, but it will not be able to move so close that it will contest the objective. So the only option left is to fire and destroy the Panther in 1 shot. Otherwise, the Panther will score the victory point at the end of the round. It's a race against time, but it's also 2 versus 1, because the Jagdpanzer is still around, and it will move and aim the assault gun at the Sherman as well. And the Jagdpanzer now has the highest initiative of all the tanks. so it will fire first. In the shooting round, it will attack the Sherman with 4 attack dice. The Sherman will count 1 survivability and 2 movement for the Jagdpanzer and 2 movement for its own movement. Only 1 hit. It's a critical hit, so the Sherman must roll defense dice, and it will. It's unharmed. The Jagdpanzer hit will do no damage. It's now or never for the EC8 Sherman now. Can the Americans stop the German tank platoon? 5 attack dice versus 5 defense dice. The Panther has 2 survivability and 3 defense dice for movement. 2 hits and 1 reroll for medium tank. It is enough to destroy the Panther, but it takes a defense roll of blanks, and it's not the case. The Panther will defend, cancel all the hits, take no damage. The German tank platoon has secured the intersection, but it could be a nice bonus if the Sherman could be destroyed as well. 5 attack dice from the Panther. And there are at least 1 critical and 1 regular hit, and the Panther will forget to reroll 1 die here for medium tank. But it won't make a difference. The Sherman absorbed the damage and will survive to fight another day. So the remains of the American tank platoon will withdraw from the intersection. The mission was lost. The German tank platoon took control of the intersection, destroyed the Chaffee, and won the mission. World of Tanks, the miniature board game, is an affordable and fast skirmish type war game with good miniatures and easy to learn rules and fast gameplay. Feel free to ask in the comments if you have questions about the game or the starter set. Thanks very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the content. If you did, please like and subscribe to the channel, and I hope you'll join me for future bad reps.